When you go to the wrong studio first. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Saturday Night Live. That means we're going to be taking your questions off the live comments and off Twitter as well. Lots to discuss, but as always, I'll give you a little bit of an update on what is going on. Radja Nainggolan from Roma. It's sort of come out today from Italian sources again, which seem to be, I don't know why, but Italian journalists seem to be very, very accurate in relation to Manchester United transfer news. And this has been going on for the last 2 or 3 years now. It's certainly puts the UK press to shame, of which there is one particular journalist. I won't even give the time of day on this show, but all I would say is what goes around comes around. What a plonker you are. But Radja Nainggolan to Manchester United. It's slightly old news, to be honest. It's slightly old news because Di, funnily enough, spoke about United wanting Nainggolan at the start of May. An offer went in for him. He's on about €3 million a year in wages. Roma are going to offer him €4 million for a new contract. United were willing to offer him €6 million. And the rumour is that Mourinho personally spoke to Mr. Nainggolan to get him to come to Manchester United. But as was reported, like I say, at the start of May by Di, Nainggolan is pretty loyal to Roma. He's happy in Rome and he wants to stay there. Doesn't mean there's no further development. Doesn't mean that this deal can't happen. But when we talk about, well, we want to sign Fabinho, but I've always said we need to sign another centre midfielder. I personally think that you could sign Nainggolan as a centre defensive midfielder. It's not his position. Before everyone jumps on it, it isn't his position. He is a box-to-box midfielder. But I think because he's 29, approaching 30, he actually can evolve into a very good centre defensive midfielder because he's good on the ball and his tackling is and he's breaking down the play. And Tenacious is his middle name. It literally is Radja Tenacious Nainggolan. He would be brilliant at it. But if we're just buying him as another midfielder with Fabinho, you know, get off the bus, everybody else. We've won the league. I mean, if we brought Nainggolan and Fabinho in, gee, forget it. It's over. It's finished. It is absolutely finished. So will we get both? Probably not. But it's interesting that we're linked to him. A lot of people like Nainggolan. A lot of people would take Nainggolan over anybody. So it's interesting that we're in for him. We've certainly got the money. And I'm encouraged by the fact that the news is from Italy because I think it's they're very accurate at the moment. Very, very accurate at the moment. In relation to Fabinho, no new developments on that from what we were talking about at lunchtime. But as much as Di broke it last night and said that it's going to happen and he's very, very accurate, let's not forget it was it 2 days ago, the journalist in Corriere dello Sport who said that United are going to get Fabinho because Juventus can't get him. So he was spot on as well. Like I say, a lot of Italian journalists, very, very accurate, which leads me into Perisic. Perisic, apparently his agent, this is from Italian sources again, Inter Milan, Perisic, so they should know what they're on about. Their agent's getting a bit frustrated by it and they've offered him up to Juventus. Now that's interesting and that would please some United fans that we're not in for Perisic anymore and he might be going somewhere else. Personally, I still think we are. I think this is all about the fee. I think we want to pay about 25 million. Inter want about 45 million and we'll probably meet about halfway. So that's interesting in relation to that. And another thing that I just saw before I came live that may, you know, add a little bit more salt to the Griezmann deal, which I'm still salty about, I'll be honest. Bayern Munich are willing to offer Carrasco of Atletico Madrid 50 million. If any player leaves Atletico Madrid this summer, I will be even more angry with Griezmann. If Griezmann's staying because they've had a transfer ban, fine, fair enough. I still think you sold us up the river, mates, but fair enough. You're moralistic. But if anybody else leaves Atletico Madrid, then that's a cop-out. That really is a cop-out, and he could have left. But we'll see what happens with that. Morata, there's talk of Morata happening next week. I do think that by Sunday next week, United will have signed 2 more players. As I was saying at lunchtime, if we can get Morata, Perisic, Fabinho done by the start of July and leave ourselves the rest of July to do that big signing, I'll be very, very happy. But let's see what happens. Was there anything else I needed to update you? No. So you're up to date on the latest news. Jade Cohen's then. Let's get some of the live comments here and then we'll go to Twitter. Jade Cohen says, Mark, I've watched Fabinho. I don't rate him at all. He is slow and weak and plays in a pub league. Jade, I think you tweeted me earlier. You keep mixing up the word Fabinho with Scott Brown at Celtic, mates, because Fabinho ain't slow and he ain't weak either. I can see this on my screen, actually. Ultra Chlorex Breach. Is there any truth to us being linked to Varane? Thanks for the contribution, Ultra Chlorex Bleach. I've not heard that we're linked with Varane at all. But, mate, we're struggling as it is to try and get Morata out of Real Madrid. I do not want to do any deals with Atletico Madrid at all. I really don't. Deb Dooch, you got your comment deleted because you are using lots of emojis and that will get you deleted. But you did say, get Nainggolan, please, and loads of love hearts, which I'll let you off for. If Carrasco leaves Atletico, we should sign Saul Niguez, says Tej Nike. Well, my understanding was that nobody was going to leave there. Faisal786, I think he's in the Steven Nzonzi fan club because he says he's the most improved centre defensive midfield. Your thoughts on this season? I've spoken about Nzonzi a couple of times. He, was at Stoke. A lot of people would say, why would we want him? But his improvement at Sevilla has been immense, and he's a beast of a player as well. But he's very, very good. I just don't think we're in for him. Luke Burton says, you cannot get nothing right. Every day you come up with different players. I beg you to answer right now to your viewers as to this. Come on, your sources and so on, as this is getting pathetic now. Luke, I suggest that you probably don't watch the United Stand, or if you do, you're one of those people who just sort of look at it while you're dribbling, thinking what's actually happening, because our Transfer Daily show is a transfer review show. Every show that we do on the Transfer Show opens up with, hello and welcome to Manchester United Transfer News Daily, the Manchester United show where we talk about the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. I'm not getting the information. On a transfer review show, we review the transfer news in the media. That's what we do. If you don't like what that news is, take it up with every other media outlet, because we don't feed it to you from somebody who's giving it to us. We are reviewing it. When we go live on Demarcio's news last night about Fabinho and say it's probably going to happen, we do that based on our knowledge of the source that it's come from, i.e. Demarcio, who we trust implicitly, and we believe that Fabinho will be coming to Manchester United. We give our opinion on the transfer news. That's the concept of the United Stand, and it has been for 3 years. If you don't understand that, then can somebody explain it to him on the live comments? If we get somebody telling us something that's not in the media, we'll tell you. Like I said 3 weeks ago, a week and a half before Lindelof signed, we were told by Robin in Sweden that he was 99%, I nearly went Swedish there. He was 99% sure that Lindelof was coming. I didn't commit to it because I've made that mistake before, but I did feed it out to you lot. But we, moaning at us about what's in the press, what do you want us to do? Just shut the United Stand down and not talk about something that we actually are interested in? Mark, do you like Tierney from Celtic, says Ewan Gordon. We did a show on him about 2 months ago. I do like him, but I'm told that he will not be leaving Celtic. Demarcio is a genius, says Disease Gaming. I genuinely believe that. I think he's the most credible journalist out there in relation to Manchester United. And he will get one wrong. And I would urge you, if he gets it wrong on Fabinho, do not attack him or anything like that, because he's been so accurate for so long that I've always said, if you can find any outlet that's right 70% of the time, you should cling on to it, because I'll tell you what, if you want to talk about tabloids in the UK press, if they're not right even 10% of the time, Demarcio has pretty much been bang on with everything. And if he gets this one wrong, then he doesn't deserve the flack that I'm sure he'll get, because he's been spot on for so much. Oh, here we go. Ultra Chlorex Bleach, thanks for the contribution again, mate. He says Varane is being reported by the Manchester Evening News. I think Manchester Evening News, if you've been following Twitter today, they are pretty much dependent, their future, I mean, they've not got a hell of a lot of credibility anyway, but their future is pretty much hanging by a thread now, because they have categorically said that Fabinho is not, Manchester United are not interested. Well, one of their journalists has. So I don't believe anything they say at the moment, but we will see. Rokoku says, Mark, you are slow. Give me a little bit more than that, mate. I'm slow on the uptake when you just give me a statement like that. What is the truth on James, says Gregory? Do not know. My concern is that he plays for Real Madrid, and dealing with Real Madrid is very, very different. Thoughts on Thiago Alcantara, Mark, says David. Very good player. We could have come to United, but David Moyes wasted too much time dallying on it. Wasn't sure. And MEFC lad says, apparently Bayern have reduced the price for Renato Sanchez, and Manchester United seem to be at the front line. I was talking to Ross and Drawty about this actually today. Mourinho, a year ago, was massively positive about Renato Sanchez. He said, if I'd have been manager of Manchester United, I would have made sure we got him. I've watched a lot of him and I really like him. A year later, Renato Sanchez's career has stalled. He didn't play much for Bayern Munich and he's been demoted from the Portuguese national team to the under-21s. There's rumours about him having a bad attitude. Now, if he's available and Mourinho still thinks he's the player he was a year ago, Mourinho will sign him. If we don't sign him, then my interpretation of that is that he does have a bad attitude and that has been fed back to Mourinho. But I like him. I'd love him to come to United. Moyes doesn't... Moyes don't, I don't know. Do you think we should be aiming higher than Morata, Mark, says Gazamania? It's the £1 million question, isn't it? Rococo Sway's getting on my nerves, Beck, just to let you know, because I'm not having... You can have a pop at me, but you can't call Dimarzio a fake. I'm not having that. He's a respected journalist who does it for a living, and he's a professional, and he's been spot on, and I will defend him because, you know, if you've watched the United stand for the last 2 years, he's been absolutely spot on, and I won't have people on the live comments having a pop at him. Take a pop at me, I'm not bothered, but he's a professional journalist, and he has been spot on with United, and he doesn't deserve any flack. Should we be aiming higher than Morata, says Gazamania? I appreciate he's a divider, but I'm actually quite excited if we get Morata, mainly because Mourinho seems intent on getting him. He seems to want to ignore Aubameyang, ignore Belotti, both of which I would prefer to go for Morata. And I suppose my trust and respect and love of Mourinho means that I have a lot of enthusiasm about the Morata signing. I'll balance that by saying I don't agree with everything Mourinho does. He does make mistakes, but on the Morata one, I'm leaning towards I think this could be a bit of genius, to be honest with you. Right, let's do the Twitter stuff for a minute, and then we'll come back to you lot as well. You lot, that's not very good, is it? Right, let me get my phone up. Let me get my thing up, and let me get my phone up. There we go. So, we tweeted out Saturday Night Live Q&A on YouTube, 8 PM. Post your questions below. I haven't looked at any of these, so I don't know what they'll be. We're going to whiz through some. Remember to follow us at United Stand. There it is, at United Stand MUFC on Twitter. I always advise everybody, and said for a long time, get yourself on Twitter. It's a bit of a minefield with keyboard warriors, but for football, it's bloody brilliant. Make sure you follow us. We'll keep you up to date. So Lynn Hall, she says, would you prefer we sign 2 strikers and 1 centre midfielder, or 2 centre midfielders and 1 striker? My choice would be Belotti, Aubameyang and Fabinho plus Sanchez. Nainggolan, though, would love second striker too. I'd like 2 strikers and 2 centre midfielders, Min. I've had a drink. What do you think of the team and replacements? I think would suit as well. Can I click on that? Let's have a look. Oh, that works quite well. So he's got Morata, Martial, Mkhitaryan, Pogba, Herrera, Fabinho, Shaw, Lindelof, Bay, Valencia. Yeah, I like that team. I do like that team, I'll be honest with you. What do we got? What do we got? Swap Pereira. Oh, no, they're talking about his team. They're talking about his team. He's getting a lot of that. Jade Cohen's on about Fabinho again. Troll. What games have you been watching? Yeah, he's getting a bit of troll. Do you think Fabinho and Morata will sign? And who do you think will leave? Says Chris Johnson. Chris, I think Mourinho is a buy first, sell later. I think we'll get the players in and then we'll get rid of players. Janusaj will go, which is good. Hopefully Rooney will go. I think we might lose a centre-back, probably Chris Smalling. And obviously Zlatan will go. De Gea, is that going to rear its head again? I hope not, but there we go. Chris Johnson's doubting that Rooney and Fellaini will go. Ryan says, can you see Morata scoring 20 plus goals next season if he signs? I think he'll score 30. Yeah, I do. I think he'll score 30 goals. Remember, we're in the Champions League. We've got the Premier League, and he'll be playing as our number 9. As long as we create the chances Zlatan has, I think Morata will have a field day, and I think he'll be a success. Of which Morgan Gibson says, without doubt, closer to 30 to 35 with the right team. I don't agree with that. I'm trying to read a question here. They're talking about something from earlier. Lozano. Ben Thomas says, Rooney hasn't won the Super Cup before. Do you think he's hanging around to try and win it and make a transfer after that? I think, to be honest, Rooney's got little choice in the matter about hanging around. I don't think he holds that much power, to be honest, at United now. I think they'll get rid of him when they can get rid of him. Nico Dosmina says, who do you think will be the potential fifth signing since Griezmann's deal collapsed? Well, first of all, we've got to do that deal. Second, I haven't really got a clue. Third, I would imagine if we're going to make a star signing, it will be Rodriguez, Mbappe, Bale. They would be my three. One of those three. Or maybe Dembele, maybe Ronaldo as an outsider, but one of those five, I suppose. Can Shaw replicate what Bale has achieved, says Callum Watson. Came from the same academy. If he pushed forward, works on his game, we still have a huge player. I agree. I don't know whether he can replicate what Bale did, but I think he can be a very good player. Nathan's on about my FIFA career. We don't need height to score from corners because Evra wasn't tall, but we need to attack the ball more with players that don't have fear like Vidic and Bay, which I agree with. And Oscar da Silva says, would you fancy us signing Semedo as a backup Valencia if Darmian does leave? I'm indifferent to that. I don't mind us signing a right back, but Valencia's our first choice one, isn't he? I was never too bothered about signing Seamus Coleman if we got him as a backup right back. Messi or Neymar at Manchester United, which one and why, says Samuel Diss. You'd have to go Messi because with Ronaldo he's just a superb player. Morata at Man United or Aubameyang at Liverpool, who would have better performances? I think Aubameyang's the better player, I've got to be honest, but I think Morata would score more goals at Manchester United because he's got better players around him. And Safety Scissors, before I go back to the live comments, says Nainggolan or Sanchez, youth or experience? Well, that's a bloody good question, mate, to be honest. A very, very good question. Nainggolan or Sanchez, youth or experience? Whew. I think if Renato Sanchez can replicate the potential he was showing up until a year ago, he will be a better player than Nainggolan. But if he can't get that back, then Nainggolan's a better player. I suppose that's the best. That's a politician's answer, isn't it? Because I'm not committing to either. Because if you've got to choose one now, you've got to commit, Goldbridge. You can't just give the politician's answer. So I would gamble on Sanchez, yeah, because I think he can be a better player, and obviously he's younger. But I would worry about his attitude if it's true. Akil Alam says, who do you think will have the best transfers in the Premier League this summer? Well, it depends who everybody signs for a start. But I do believe that if Manchester United sign, well, we've got Lindelof. If we sign Morata, we sign Fabinho, and we sign Perisic, I know that might not be as glamorous as what some people have done, but I think its effectiveness cannot be understated when you think that those four players would probably come in as first team players and solve four problems for us. Centre back, centre defensive midfielder, natural width and a striker. I think that would be very, very good for United. When you supplement that with people like Pogba, Rashford, Martial, Herrera, Bailly, Valencia, De Gea, hopefully Luke Shaw, we've got a very, very good team. If we add a superstar to it as well, then I think we win the transfer window. Jitin says, what happened? Why are we on so early? We're not. It's Saturday night. Saturday night's always an 8 PM Saturday Night Live. Every other night is 8:30, but Saturday night is always 8 PM. Chris C says, Mark, should we try and get Dembele from Spurs? No, we should try and get Dembele from Dortmund. Ramos is one of the best headers of the ball and he's not tall, says EMH Gaming. Yeah, that comment from Twitter was spot on. Being good at heading is nothing to do... Well, height helps, but Fellaini's not actually that good in the air. He's, he wins headers, but he's not actually that good at scoring headers because he doesn't really get any power or direction in his headers. The best headers of the ball are the people who attack the ball, like Vidic was the best I've ever seen. Should we sign Belotti, says somebody else? Well, I do believe that we do need two strikers, but I think we're probably only going to sign one with Morata. But I would like to have seen us sign two, and I do like Belotti. He would be expensive, I think that is the concern, but I don't think he's a flash in the pan. I think he'll be good. Swag and Techers is saying open Skype, not tonight. No, Skype gets 2 nights a week. I'm not undercooking Twitter and live comments to get Skype on. Skype has its show on Monday and Thursday, and if we sign any players, we'll do Skype. But not tonight, the Skype. Tonight is about the live comments and Twitter. Do you think Manchester United will sell Luke Shaw, says Cameron Joseph? I don't think we'll sell him this summer, no. Tom Sampson says, Mark, do you ever reply to your Twitter fans? Yep, sometimes we do, and we retweet certain tweets as well. I mean, Twitter's a very, very busy place. You literally get hundreds of replies, but so it'd be impossible unless you did it all day for a job, which you would earn nothing. Be nice to be able to reply to them all, but we do retweet some, and we do interact with some, but it's physically impossible to do it. We need to bully clubs into selling as their best players, says Anthony Curnow. We are the biggest boy in the playground and need to start acting like it. I'd agree. Why don't we go for Alexis Sanchez, says Jose Mourinho, or Namayang, I think he means Aubameyang. Because Alexis Sanchez has got to want to come to Manchester United, and he's got to force that move like Van Persie did. And I don't think Alexis Sanchez, I think he'd like to come to United, but I don't think he'd be adamant about it. I think he'll end up at Bayern Munich. Zeno says, Mark, would you be happy if we signed only Morata, Fabinho, Perisic and Lindelof this summer? I personally would, yeah. I think it can be better than that, but I would be happy with that. I don't know why I gave my nipple a little rub. I think it's this top. Malik Gordon, what do you think top 4 will be like next season? God, you're asking me to predict it when most people haven't even completed their transfer plans, but I'll put my neck on the line now on June the 24th for you, and this cannot be repeated in a year's time because there's so much I don't know about teams next season. But if you're asking me for my top 4 now, and please feel free, get your comments in as well, I will go Manchester United first, Chelsea second, Arsenal third, and Manchester City fourth, and Klopp and Pep sacked next summer. That's what I will go with now. Why aren't any of our bids getting accepted or rejected, says the Rated Review. Well, we don't know. We don't know whether they're getting rejected or accepted. Spinblade says, are you never not drinking something, Mark? Look, I don't have a drink problem. I normally have a couple of beers a night at the weekend. I've been off for the last week, obviously on paternity leave, so I have had a drink on a couple of more occasions, but I don't normally drink in the week. But enough of my drinking plans. It is Saturday night as well. Do you think these targets were our first choice targets, Mark, says Lee Berry? Again, we don't know what our targets are yet because we haven't signed anybody other than Lindelof. I think Lindelof was our first choice because I think this was a deal we tried to do in January. I think Perisic is first choice because Mourinho was out scouting him at the end of March. I think Morata's his first choice. I just think Morata is the player that he wants. I would hope that Fabinho, if we are in for him, is his first choice. So yeah, I think they are. I think Griezmann was first choice, but that's not going to happen. So if we do make a star signing, I don't think that star signing will be our first choice because let's just say some miracle happened and we did sign Ronaldo or Bale. I don't for 1 minute think we were planning to sign those in April, March or May, or yeah, maybe even May. But I think we were always going for Griezmann, but Griezmann falling by the wayside and Bale maybe being an opportunity, that could happen. But wait and see. I think if we're going to make a big signing, it probably won't happen until late July, would be my prediction. Dougie Morgan says, Mark, how do you not like Cavani? If you've watched the United Stand for the time we've been doing the United Stand, you'll know I've never been a big fan of Cavani. Every game I've watched him, I've never been convinced by him. He looks slow to me. I just don't rate him. It wouldn't excite me. I know a lot of people do, but you're going to get that. There'll be players that you lot just don't like that I would like and a lot of other people would like. So, I'll answer this question. Read my profile description, please. Says, what's your opinion on Samuel Luckhurst, the Manchester Evening News journalist who has been in meltdown? Well, basically, he's been getting a lot of stick on Twitter, which I believe is to do with. We've been blocked by him for a long time, as a lot of people are blocked by him. He doesn't. If you look through Twitter today, because a lot of people have retweeted the stuff, of which some of it I don't know whether is genuine, some of it does look like it's genuine, of his tweets over the last 4 or 5 years, and some of them for a professional journalist are bordering on, ridiculous, sackable. But it seems to me that he's called fans fanboys because they want Fabinho. He's consistently made tweets about if you don't go to games, you don't know anything. And his big Teddy out the pram is because Fabinho has been told he's coming to United based on what Dimarzio said, and he's adamant that Fabinho is not coming to United. So I hope he's wrong anyway, because I think some of the stuff he's come out with is ridiculous. But more than anything, I want Fabinho to come. And I think if Fabinho comes to Manchester United, he probably needs to pack his bags up and stop being a journalist, because he's going to make himself look an absolute idiot on it. But I don't understand people who have to, attack fans. I've never understood it. I don't understand it. You should respect your audience. You lot, clubs, TV companies, sponsors, they want your money, but the reality is, without you, they've got nothing. I've always said that. That's what the United Stand's all about. It's about fan opinion, and it's about your voice. You're the most important people in football. How a journalist can be so arrogant to think that they are better than you is beyond ridiculous. So he deserves everything he's getting, really. He really does. And as somebody who's had a hell of a lot of stick thrown at them on social media for doing nothing, when somebody gets it for what they deserve, well, you brought it on yourself. Jake Pert. Yeah, I'm not going to repeat what he said about Stan Collymore and Gary Speed, because I don't know whether that's true. I refuse to believe that tweet is real. But if he said that about Gary Speed, who's dead, and he's saying that about Stan Collymore, who we've had on the show and we like, it's slanderous. It's disgusting. But, I don't know whether that's true. And moving on. Simon Black says, Nainggolan is like Perisic, too bloody old. Simon, get off FIFA and get in the real world. Perisic is 28. He's 28. That's your prime years. Zlatan was 35, 7 years, and ripped it up in the Premier League. He's 7 years older than Perisic. I wouldn't have concerns about it. I had my concerns about Matic, because watching Matic last season, Kante carried him a lot. He's not the player he was 2 years ago. He's getting slower and slower. Gregory Augustine actually says, is there any light on Matic? Nothing any further. That was Manchester Evening News who broke it about Matic as well. And apparently they broke it tonight about Varane. I don't know what's going on with them. As I said before, I grew up in Nottingham. Used to get the Nottingham Evening Post delivered every night. And they were, they clearly had good connections with Notts County and Nottingham Forest, because it was very local. And they would have interviews and stuff, and it was really good. I don't live in Manchester. I've never lived in Manchester. So my thought about Manchester Evening News would be similar to the Nottingham Evening Post, that they have those connections with the club. Apparently not. Apparently it's just a glorified Mirror or the Sun, which is sad, really, because I think they get a lot of credibility with United fans worldwide because they are the Manchester Evening News. So they will see a web article saying United agree terms with Matic, and they'll think that it's true. And 9 times out of 10, they seem to be pretty inaccurate. But it's all about your clicks. It's all about your clicks and getting you to read stuff. And what I hate about a lot of websites is you click their article, you've got to do a survey first. They've got another video playing that you can't, is just distracting to you. Ads all over the shop, and then you get about a paragraph of information that doesn't actually tell you anything. That's the modern world, isn't it? Mugging fans off to get as much money out of you as they can. QWERTY says, I like that name, QWERTY, the QWERTY keyboard. He says, Mark, do you think we're holding out on a striker because they'll get replaced when we sign Griezmann next year? I don't know. I think politically, this summer window for Manchester United is very interesting. And when I say politically, I do like to politicise Manchester United in the fact that, it's everything to a lot of us. Manchester United, it's more than a football club. The history, the institution. And the number 7 shirt is a bit like the crown, isn't it? So will the crown be left on the throne, or will somebody be given the crown to wear this season? I think that's a very interesting conversation in itself, and we won't know till September the 1st, will we? Fabinho, Bale and Morata, what do you think in their engine? I think we'd have to improve massively our relationships with Real Madrid to get more than one player out of them this summer. And I think it'd be a miracle, really. I'll keep mentioning this because if it happens, nobody said it and I must deserve the credit. But I'm joking. I don't need to tweet out that I've said stuff. I noticed some people today, I said 2 weeks ago that we're in for Fabinho and I did tell you so. Why do you tweet something like that unless you just want self-gratification? Why tweet it? People want to search through your tweets, they can find that. Well, why do you have to blow wind up your own arse? Which is what I'm about to do now. I'm not really. What I'm saying is that it wouldn't surprise if we get a player out of Real Madrid. I think we're going to do really well to keep hold of De Gea, and I'm still convinced that De Gea could go to Real Madrid, although I don't want him to, and will sign Donnarumma. I just think that's what's going to happen. Donnarumma to Manchester United, De Gea to Real Madrid, but we'll see. I Iwas says that the Ronaldo hype has died down quick. I knew he wouldn't come back. He just uses and that's all. I'm with you that Ronaldo has died down because it's probably not going to happen. I don't think he's used us. I think that's the British press again, who hype it up. Where is Ronaldo said, I want to come to Manchester United? Nowhere. Where is the press said that Ronaldo wants to come to Manchester United? Everywhere. Ronaldo gets bad press on that. Ronaldo doesn't have to sit there and just say, I love Real Madrid, I love Real Madrid every single summer. Because if he doesn't, then Manchester United fans might think he's going to sign. You know, he hasn't openly said he wants to come to United. He's not briefed the press. It's the press just flipping it around and getting us all excited. It's not Ronaldo's fault, I don't think. My eyes are going a bit. Pratak, I'm going to roll all over you a bit here. He says, here's an unrelated but interesting question. How long do you think Jose will last at United? It's not that interesting because I answered it last night, unfortunately. I think he'll be here for 3 years. I hope he's here for longer. Fabinho and Mourinho had worked together previously at Real Madrid, says Abanaf. And Gareth Batchelor says, I love this channel. Do you think Mourinho's charm and style of play is struggling to attract world-class flair players? I don't know. I don't think he's ever struggled before. I mean, Pogba last year, he has attracted some of the best players in the world at various different clubs. The football we played last year at times was very good, but I'd say the consistent theme was that the football wasn't great. But I think in fairness to Mourinho, a lot of that's probably to do with the players that he's got. Oh, I wanted to read that and I've missed it. That's the problem. Oh no, I've got it back. Kelsey Archer. Mark, 2 things. If we sell Darmian, then we need a left back like Baba Rahman, and Felipe Anderson is 2-footed right winger who had most tackles and take-ons in Serie A. I like Felipe Anderson. He's very, very quick as well. Another player we get linked to every summer that we won't sign. Ronaldo is linked to United every year, says Tony Martial. Why do you think that is, Tony Martial? Because it sells those papers. That is why. Let me get the phone up and go back to Twitter. Okay. Battery is low. Alright, okay, so we'll whack on. Whack on. Indie Tagger, would you take Griezmann next season if he's available? My head says yes, my heart says no. I don't really like players that turn us down. Any chance of James Rodriguez after Fabinho signs, says Hassan. There's always a chance. There's always a chance. Arlen says, I think it's about time you had Mourinho as your guest as your show and you speak on behalf of United supporters. Make it happen. Jose, you are very welcome on the United Stand. You know we would love to have you on and you would get the respect that you deserve. But I don't think it's going to ever happen, to be honest. But on that point, I would always say this. Look, the door is open to anybody on the United Stand. Anybody. Ex-pro, professional, journalist, whatever. The door is open. What we won't do is go chasing you because this is a fan channel and our priority is the people who are tweeting, is the live comments, the people who Skype in. But the door's open. If you want to come on, approach us. We don't go chasing people. Our priority is fans and it always will be. But, you know, if it's of interest, then we'd do it. Jake wants a follow. Sorry. Danny Toro says, Mark, you'll take an L when Talisco becomes the Eric Bailly transfer of the season. Danny, I'll happily take an L. If Manchester United benefit from something, I'll happily take an L. I'm not arrogant. I won't go defending myself if I get it wrong. Everybody gets it wrong. Everybody is a hypocrite at some point in their life, and the sooner people realise that and remove their head from their own arse, the better. I have an opinion. I won't be right 100% at the time. I think Talisco is bang average and he won't sign for United. But if he stuns me and turns into the next Yaya Toure, then it benefits United, doesn't it? Sean Smith says, Morata is a must for me, well-rounded in everything and will do well at number 9. I do agree with you, Sean, yeah. I am optimistic about it. Kevin, sort of picking up on what we're saying, what's your opinion if the number 7 stays vacant, then Griezmann will still come? It's going to be interesting. Liam says, can you see us playing 5 or 3 at the back? I'd love to see us doing that formation I spoke about a couple of weeks ago. with wing backs, 3 centre backs, wing backs, 2 up front. Eric G, thoughts on left back position? I'm happy with how Darmian has been playing and hope Shaw comes back fit. Be interesting, won't it? Interesting to see what happens with the left back. Abdul sort of Pogba boom sort of comes back with something that is in my mind. How many players will we sign, and who could be our surprise signings? All I would say is I don't think we're going to stop at 4 signings. I think we might do 5 or 6. That's all I can say. Ashton, instead of Perisic, who would you prefer Manchester United go after right wing? For me, I'd love Pulisic or Carrasco. Well, Perisic is a left winger for a start. I'm happy with Perisic. I'd like Dembele from Dortmund. How many positions would you say are nailed down for the new season, Adam? I'd have to have a think about that, Adam, and I think it's something we'll pick up in July as we get closer to the new season, how we're going to line up and everything. Gary, it comes up on the screen. I can't ignore it because everyone knows I've bloody read it. Why do you and Stephen Howson dislike each other? Well, the door's always open if he wants to come on a show, let me just say that. Other than that, I've got nothing to say about the bloke. His door is shut. He won't speak to me, but the door is open, and I'd happily tell you all, and he could have his say. And I think that's the fairest way, isn't it? That's the fairest way, isn't it? Rather than me saying anything negative about him without him having the right to reply, I think the mature way from now on is just to say the door's open with anybody. If you want to come on and have your say, let's do it. I'm sure the people would want to listen to it, but I guarantee you the door will stay shut. Name 3 Galacticos which would be suited best to Mourinho and Manchester United style of play. Fucking hell, I nearly swore. 3 Galacticos. I just had my mate, because I'm synced in with my mobile. It just popped up on my screen as a WhatsApp. Talking about Liam Gallagher at Glastonbury. I was just wondering if Oasis were going to do a reunion, which I don't think they will. 3 Galacticos which would be suited to Mourinho and Manchester United style of play. I don't think we'd sign 3 Galacticos for a start, so I'm just going to pick one. I really do think Gareth Bale fit would suit us really well. I think Dembele would suit us really well. And I think Ronaldo would score 50 goals. I do. Who's your left wing choice? Since Perisic is Mourinho's choice and not necessarily your first choice, but one you would be happy with? That's a good question, Devon. Who would be my first choice left winger? It would be Anthony Martial. I've got to be honest. I'm a big fan of Anthony Martial, and I still think that his current best position is left wing, and we didn't see the best of him enough last season. But it would be Anthony Martial. Yeah, I can't move away from that. Who do you think will be our best signing of our summer? Says Ranuk Dash, Fabinho or Morata. Could be Lindelof. Could be Perisic. Could be Gareth Bale. Too early to say. And what do you think was the biggest factor of Sir Alex Ferguson's successful teams? And how far away are we from that? Says Shushash Baglak. And they'll go back to the live comments now. What a good question. What do you think was the biggest factor of Sir Alex Ferguson's success? I think Sir Alex Ferguson's biggest success was that he could have managed, and it was one thing Alan Hansen said a few years ago that he got right. There was a time where you looked at the top 4 each season and you honestly said if Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge of that team, they'd win the league, because he was winning the league with a Manchester United side in the latter years, which wasn't as good as the sides that he had before, but his just brilliance was winning the league. And I think if you'd give him the Arsenal team, he would have won the league because he was that good a manager. I think in the United's prime years, so you know the late 90s, the mid 90s with Hughes and Bruce and everybody, the 2008. I think the 90s, especially 99, his big advantage there was he had an absolute miracle bunch of youth players come through who were hungry, and Manchester United was stitched on their heart. You had the best captain ever in Roy Keane, who was basically Sir Alex Ferguson on the pitch. And as a manager, whoever you are, whether you manage a milk round or a financial business or a supermarket, if you're the manager and you've got people in your team who basically are you and passionate and you, then you're onto a winner. And I think he had that with Roy Keane. I think in 08 he had Cristiano Ronaldo, who was just the best player in the Premier League and in Europe by a long way, but he also had Vidic and Ferdinand, who were fantastic centre-backs. He had Wayne Rooney, he had Paul Scholes, he had a lot of good talent. I think the 08 team was quite interesting because it was different to 99, which was a better team, but it didn't have the amazing captain. But what we had in 08 was just a very, very good team that was very in sync with each other and very, very driven. So yeah, Ferguson was just very good at moulding a team into the way he wanted it to be. But the biggest thing was that he got that extra 10% out of everybody. Mourinho, he's not Sir Alex Ferguson, and I said that when Mourinho was going head to head with him. Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest sports manager ever, but Mourinho, I don't think he's as good at putting arms around shoulders. I think Mourinho needs to work with a certain type of player. But I do think Mourinho's the best manager in the world of football at the moment. He needs to get the players he needs around him. And I think if he gets that, he will replicate the sort of mentality that Sir Alex Ferguson had with his teams. But Mourinho's thing is he has to get very particular players, whereas I think Sir Alex Ferguson could work with all personalities. He put an arm around some, he'd kick some up the arse, and the stories and the books you read about him replicate that. I think Mourinho openly says he's not very good at putting his arm around players. He wants players that are very strong-minded, will run through brick walls, which is great, but some players aren't strong-minded. They need an arm around their shoulder. I think Anthony Martial is one of them. I think Sir Alex Ferguson would get the best out of Martial last season. Mourinho struggled with it a little bit. Let's go back to the live comments. Remember to drop a like on the video if you are enjoying Saturday Night Live. We're not finished yet. Share it. There's a share button underneath. Click that if you're on social media and give it a share. Drop us a like. Yeah, the top is nice. And I always nearly say it's Tate and Lyle, but that's sugar, isn't it? It's Lyle and Scott. What do you think is the chances of going in for Zlatan in January if our first half of the season does not work out as we plan? Says Zayty75. Well, we spoke on about it, a video at lunchtime. It was actually somebody, was it Abdul Chakrabarti, emailed me about it with a theory saying that his theory is that Manchester United are going to sign Morata and not somebody like Aubameyang, because become November time when Zlatan's back fit, Zlatan will come back in the United squad and Morata will be more willing to sort of share the number 9 spot and learn from him, whereas Aubameyang or someone like that would probably not want to do that. So there is a theory that Zlatan might come back for the last few months of the season regardless, which is interesting and I wouldn't be opposed to it. What about giving Real Madrid De Gea and pay them 30 million and get Morata and James and go for Donnarumma, says Mohamed Shafiq. It's not out of the realms of possibility. Byron Williams, though, he says we shouldn't entertain letting De Gea go unless he hands in a transfer request. Jordan Thompson says it's Messi's birthday. I don't really like Messi, I've got to be honest. Oh, there we go. Andreas has made a contribution. What formation should United play next season? Thanks for the contribution, Andrew. I think we'll play 4-3-3. I'd like to see us use 3 centre-backs, 3 in midfield, use wing-backs for width and play 2 up front. Nobody's doing it. I'd like to see us do it. Oh, Stephen Bauer. If you had the choice, who would you choose? Mbappe or Dembele? And why, if you had the choice, would you choose Mbappe or Dembele? And why? Oh no, he's repeated it twice. Mbappe or Dembele? I would take Dembele because he's a wide player and I think we need that more than we need another striker when we've already got people like Rashford, we're in for Morata, we've got Martial. I'd like a bit of width. I think United really lack width and we get that with Dembele. Perisic's quality, says Pedro Lamster. And do you think we can get Bale, says Navy Officer? I do believe that Manchester United can do anything, but it doesn't mean we will do it, if that makes sense. I'd never say never with United because nothing surprises me. Do I think we'll get Bale? It's too early to say. Part of me nearly went, yeah, we won't, but I don't know what Manchester United's plans are at the moment. I don't know whether we're looking to sign a star player this summer. If we are, then you've got to include Bale in that. Do you think Bradford City will be promoted to the Championship next season? I think the Championship is a very, very competitive league. I always keep an eye on it because that's where Forest are. No, that would be the simple answer. I do keep an eye on it, especially over the last year or so, because I work with a lot of Aston Villa fans, and they haven't got their head in the clouds. They've got their head in the sands. They were concerned that they wouldn't come straight back up. It's a slog to get out of the Championship. I think it's very disappointing that teams like Sheffield Wednesday, Forest, Leeds aren't in the Premier League because they are big clubs with big support. And I'm a bit tired, to be honest. Although those clubs do deserve it, I'm a bit tired of Brightons and Burnleys and Watfords and Bournemouths being in the Premier League. Of course they deserve to be there, but they're small clubs with small support. And I know it's equality and that's what democracy is, but I'd like to see some of the traditional big clubs back in it because they've got big support. And what annoys me the most is that a lot of these teams, traditionally, they turn up against United and they make our life difficult. But when Chelsea roll into town, they get beat 3 or 4-0. And that's the problem for United. But United should still be beating them anyway. Mark, Fellaini or Matic, says Luke Sipes. I am going to say Fellaini. I'm sorry, I don't like Fellaini much either, but I would say Fellaini. I don't want Matic. And I think I deserve a bit of respect for that because the one thing we've always been on the United Stand is very consistent. My opinion is not the United Stand opinion, but obviously as the presenter I do give my opinion a lot. And over the time I've been doing this, I don't take the easy choice. It'd be easy for me to say there, oh, I like Matic because it's a new signing and I know a lot of you like him. But I don't. I'm always honest. I don't want Matic. And I will always be honest with you about my opinion. I don't want Matic. And it'd be easy for me to say, yes, I do. I think he's a great player and probably get a few more likes on the video, but I don't want him. That's my honest opinion. Nico Dosmina says, do you think we are moving away from the Manchester United way under Jose Mourinho? Have not been signing players with huge potential like Pulisic. Pogba, well, Bay's got potential. Pogba's got potential. Zlatan and Mkhitaryan, I would agree. This summer, Lindelof's got potential. Fabinho's only 23, so he's got potential. Morata's got potential if we sign him. Perisic is obviously... You can't always sign potential. I think we'll judge Mourinho more next season. I think he got away with a lot this season in relation to the youth. I don't think he dealt with the youth very well this season at all. I think 20 minutes for Fosu Mensah before the last game of the season in the Premier League was atrocious. But we'll judge him this season and see what he does. I'll tell you what, the best player to judge Mourinho on this season is Andreas Pereira. Nodding his head. He's ready. He went on loan and proved himself. He is ready. He's got to be given an opportunity this summer. The only reason I will let Mourinho off is if he puts him out on loan to a Premier League club like Bournemouth. I'm not opposed to that. I'd watch Bournemouth every week and I think Pereira would be brilliant. I'm not opposed to Pereira going on loan to somebody where he'll get first team football in the Premier League next season. But if he spends all season training with the first team with no minutes, then that is a god-awful waste of the talent that he's had because he's been playing La Liga, first team football and one of the best players in that league. So we'll judge Mourinho on what he does with Pereira, I suppose. But I expect Pereira to have a very good US tour. He did 2 years ago and he's ready. Arham Sajid says, Matuidi to United. I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, I'd welcome Matuidi, but I don't think so. With the Zlatan theory, Abdullah, all I'd say about yours is anybody who consistently hates somebody has got a problem with themselves because I don't hate anybody and I wouldn't urge anybody to hate anybody. It's a negative human trait that brings nothing but frustration and eats you up, and obviously is why this world's in the state it is, because hate just causes mayhem. You've got to ask yourself, why do you hate somebody? Because if you hate somebody, it's probably a flaw in yourself that's making you hate them. Unless they've come and robbed your car off your drive or something like that, in which case you probably do have a reason to dislike them. Has the window started, says Fabinho? Well, you can sign players, so the window has started, but it officially opens on July the 1st, but you can sign players before. Sky Marshall 07 says, no mention of Mata. Do you not rate him? I haven't mentioned a number of United players tonight. Doesn't mean I don't not rate them. I mean, Mata, why do we need to mention Mata? I haven't mentioned Eric Bailly. Very good player. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think there's certain players that Mourinho can't sell this summer, of which Mata's one, Martial's one. You know, you can't let them sort of players go without a massive backlash. How's the baby doing, says Jordan Thompson. Well, that's a very nice question. He's 1 week old today. We've had some up and down moments. That's what you get with children. But this is my third. The first one was like, the first night was like being hit in the stomach by a sledgehammer. It was absolutely unbelievable. The second and third have been easier, but it's hard. It is hard work, but it's the best thing in the world. I fell asleep with him on Wednesday afternoon watching Hard Home from Game of Thrones, because it's all on Sky at the moment. I like Game of Thrones, and I just thought that's a really good contained episode that I can watch. And I fell asleep with him on my chest, and I thought it doesn't get much better than this, and it really doesn't. Although I must say, I know this comes across as a bit cheesy, but I love the United Stand. I love sitting, going live and talking about football with loads of people who are actually of the same opinion. Not of the same opinion, but of the same mind of me, that you just want to talk about Manchester United and football. And I do really enjoy it. So maybe what I really need to do is talk about football with you and have him in my arm there, and then I'm complete. Maybe my wife around with the other shoulder, you know. Bring the whole family round and the mates, and then we'll just do it. But no, I consider you, I mean, obviously I probably never meet many of you, but I do consider you part of the United Stand family and indirectly friends. Can we call each other that? But no, we've got a community here, and I think it's great. And it's great to see that a lot of you lot get on before we go live. I see you commenting and stuff, which is great. Ridgel Gupta says, you look like Tyrion Lannister. Well, I've been called Theon Greyjoy today, Ed Woodward, DiCaprio again, Stephen Hendry, and what was the other one? Matt Damon. It's, you know, it's all over the place. How about you just call me by my name? It makes me laugh, actually, because my younger cousin looks like me, and everyone always says he looks like, you look like him, and I'm like, I'm older than him. I've been on the planet longer than him. He looks like me. How can I look like him when he's only 9 years old? Would you take Willian from Chelsea? I would have done, but I think I've got to be consistent. And I don't want Matic, so I don't want Willian now. I don't want Chelsea cast-off. So let's go and get somebody else who's not a cast-off. Yeah. I love this comment. I love this comment. MUFC8 says, what is your opinion on Brian Clough? My opinion on Brian Clough is that he was a genius. An absolute genius. Watch The Damned United. It's one of the best films ever. Read the book. Research Brian Clough, because I tell you what, watch some of his interviews on Parkinson and that. He's just a very, very clever man, a very good manager. It's a sort of up and down career, really. But what he did with Forest, win 2 back-to-back European Cups. What he did with Derby, he nearly won the European Cup with them, won the league with them. Very, very good manager. Very extrovert, but a very, very good manager. Sir Alex Ferguson's better, but look at the resources Sir Alex Ferguson had. But what Sir Alex Ferguson did with Aberdeen doesn't get enough credit. I mean, he broke up the dominance of Celtic and Rangers, which is very, very hard, and he won a European trophy with them. But Brian Clough, for me, Brian Clough is arguably the best English manager there's ever been. I think he was absolutely brilliant. The Damned United is the film to watch. It's more about his... He went to Leeds for about 30 or 40 days and they treated him badly, but then he went to Derby, I think. Or he was at Derby before, and then he ended up at Brighton, then he went to Forest and took Forest from Division 2 to Division 1. And I think he did that with Derby as well. Fantastic manager. Breach 69, Clough was Ferguson, but 20 years earlier. Yeah, Brian Clough was brilliant. And... Dream says, Mark's wearing blue, Chelsea fan convert. I like this top. I do like this top. United wear blue. Or have worn blue. Fabinho coming to Manchester United, Mark, and I love your channel, says Fortune. I hope it's going to happen. What I would say to you all is, in relation to the United Stand, remember, we're live at 8:30 every night normally, but 8 o'clock on a Saturday. In the weekdays, Monday to Friday, 7 AM transfer show. What's been happening a lot at the moment is we are going live around lunchtime a lot because there's something happening later on in the morning. So that'll probably continue during the week. And what happened last night is we went live at 11:30 based on the Demartio thing. So you never know when we're going to go live. Sometimes it can be quite late, but 8:30 is pretty much consistent. And I think I'm going to do a ramble with Robbie tomorrow. I think I'm going to do a ramble with Robbie tomorrow at around 11 o'clock. But because it's on my phone, I can't schedule it. It will just happen at 11 o'clock. So keep your eye out. What I would say is make sure if you have subscribed, you click the little bell, then you'll get a notification when I go live. Because if it's live off my phone, I can't set the stream up an hour before. It just happens, if that makes sense. So make sure that you have subscribed, bottom right hand corner. And if you have subscribed, make sure you click the bell. Then you'll get notified when we go live. Do you think we need any more defenders, says CMC? I don't know, mate. I don't know. Depends what the plan is. Depends what the plan is. I mean, we've got Twansibi, we've got Bay, we've got Lindelof, we've got Smalling, we've got Blind, we've got Jones, we've got 6 there. Rojo, when he comes back, 7. If we're going to play 3 at the back, we might need another one. Oh, CL says, Mark, please read this. Casemiro or Nainggolan? I'd go Nainggolan. Yeah, I would go Nainggolan. Nainggolan or Matuidi, says Harry Law. Nainggolan. Just keep asking me Nainggolan or somebody else and we'll see if he can get beat. Nainggolan or Fabinho, says Tonio. He's been beat. I would take Fabinho over him. Yeah, I would, yeah. I would take Fabinho on him. Do a ramble with your son, says Abdullah. That'd be very difficult because I'd have to carry him and then one phone, but that'd be difficult. And keep an eye on naughty Robbie. Is Robbie an Arsenal fan? Not that Robbie, no. He's named after Robbie Savage because he's got crap hair. I've told you that before. Rijal Gupta says, what's going to happen to Ashley Young? Needs to be sold. Needs to be sold. And Jordan Thompson, I'll give you credit if you want to make you think that you reminded me about that, but I was already going to do it anyway because I've got to just review the super chats that we might have missed. Kamyar says that thanks for the contributions. If you've contributed, you can do that through the $ at the bottom. So Kamyar Tagvara has made a contribution. He says Hirving Lozano was fantastic today. Well, I've been saying for 2 years that Irving Lozano is a great player, but we're just not linked to him. I think he's going to PSV, isn't he? He was linked to City. He's a very good player, and I'd love us to have another Mexican at United. Andrew S says, who is your favourite MLS team, and do you like Heineken? Thanks for the contribution, Andrew. I do like Heineken. I do like Heineken. Funny story about Heineken is there's a pub around the corner from where I work, where I go and meet some of my mates who I've worked with before sometimes, and they have Heineken on there. I like it, but it gives me a horrible head the next day just after 2 pints. I think their taps are bad, but I do like Heineken. Favourite MLS team? I'd probably say, you know what? I don't really watch it. I've got to be honest with you. I don't watch it. I really do like a lot of American sports, but I'm not into the soccer over there. So I'm not even going to name somebody because I'd just be lying. But yeah, I'd be like, I liked LA Galaxy when Beckham was there because I like Beckham. But then Gerrard was there. I've got no interest. Andrew S again. What formation should United play next season? I think I did answer that. Thomas Cooper's made a contribution. You're starting 11 for next season. Well, based on what I know at the moment, De Gea in goal, Valencia right back, Bay, Lindelof centre backs, Luke Shaw left back, Fabinho, Pereira, Pogba midfield 3, Martial on the left, Morata up front, Mkhitaryan on the right. And that's all the super chats done. Great. Okay, we've done that. Well, thanks for everybody who contributed to those. Really appreciate that. Let me find my way back to the log there. I meant to say actually we have used this studio before, but what do you think? Let me know. Let me know. What do you think of the studio? Little bit of pretty much the same because we've got live comments. You've got me and a studio, but the live comments are on the screen instead of to my right. It's very easy to just, you know, sometimes do it one way, sometimes we're just giving you a bit of variety really. But drop a like on it, let us know what you think. I think it's quite good to have the screen like that. So give us your thoughts on it. Drop us a like if you like it. If you are new to the United Stand, please do subscribe, bottom right hand corner. And Anaban says, loved the show and loved the studio too. And as I haven't said this for a while, but United Stand obviously is doing very well in relation to views at the moment and subscribers and everything like that. But please do keep drawing attention to us, to your Manchester United friends and family, especially if you live in places like America and India and Australia and, well, everywhere really, because we love the fact that we are a global channel. United are a global supported club, and we do get a lot of messages from people saying that they do feel a bit detached from United, but United Stand shows make them feel more part of it. So I have to applaud you lot for that in the live comments, because you do make people feel part of it, and it is a family. But just keep spreading the word. I don't believe in viral videos. I don't think we've had one viral video yet. What we have had is consistent organic growth based on quality content, and the big thing is what you lot do. So keep spreading the word. That would be fantastic. That's all we'd ever ask of you, really. Rico M8 says, I've just joined, can you recap everything that's happened? Simple answer is no, I can't, because there is about 59 minutes of content there for me to recap, of which I've probably answered well over 30 questions and summarised the latest Manchester United news. Suffice to say, I will say that Manchester United have apparently made an offer for Radja Nainggolan, doubled his wages effectively. Mourinho's meant to have spoken to him in person, but Nainggolan is apparently wanting to stay in Rome, which again is quite a credible thing. He's, he could double his money, but he wants to stay in Rome. I don't think that's the end of the matter. I would welcome him at Manchester United, and as I said at the start, if we signed Fabinho and Nainggolan, everyone may as well pack up. They may as well go home, because if we add Fabinho and Nainggolan to our midfield of Pogba and Pereira, it's over. It's over. But let's wait and see what happens. Would I take Douglas Costa? Diego Costa, says Matt Maloney. I answered this question today because somebody said, oh, you won't have Matic, but you'd take Costa. When have I ever said I wouldn't take Costa? I don't want Costa at Manchester United. I don't want Chelsea rejects. Full stop. Thanks everybody for watching. Really enjoyed it. I like the Saturday night show. It is always going to be Q&A off the live comments and off Twitter. And I think we're going to probably introduce Facebook as well. But I like the Saturday night show. We get Skype on a Monday and a Thursday. Sunday Night Live, obviously, we'll have Ross and maybe Alex on tomorrow, and interaction with you. But I like the Saturday show, and I think when the season starts, it will really... I mean, I think it's great at the moment, but imagine doing Saturday Night Live at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night when there's a United result come in. I think it's going to be really good. So keep getting involved, keep spreading the word, and I'll speak to you tomorrow, probably around 11 o'clock with Robbie on a ramble. Enjoy the rest of your week. Unless something happens again tonight like last night, I might be back again. But thanks for watching.